Bickley and Marotta Mornings. Arizona Sports, the local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
So I had a brief chat with Mat Ishbia yesterday, and he looked fit and tan and happy. No signs of stress in his game at the moment, and there was something very reassuring about seeing the Suns owner attending a Mercury game while bonding with Devin Booker and new head coach Mike Budenholzer, three guys who better be on the same page in the coming months. But as free agency begins in the NBA, I cannot help but once again curse our cruel luck, because the NBA is effectively pulling the plug on a small minority of freewheeling, free-spending owners. You see it happening with the Clippers, who couldn't re-sign Paul George. You see it happening with the Warriors, who are ditching Klay Thompson. And then you realize that just as we were graced with a multi-billionaire owner who doesn't care how much he spends on players, the NBA has made it nearly impossible to win checkbook championships. Once again, our timing couldn't be worse. It's particularly cruel because the NBA did this so the other 90% of owners don't look bad or suffer in the standings when a rogue spender is in the midst in their marketplace. And it's cruel because if he could, I'm sure Ishbia would be in the market this summer scooping up more great players. Instead, the Suns are likely going to end up with a roster that does not stack up with the NBA's elite, and it's going to take Booker as an MVP candidate and Budenholzer as a coach of the year just to pull this off. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW, who make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com. How do you feel about the state of their roster going into next year?
Not very much. I mean, the Suns are where they are. I mean, I didn't like the Bradley Beal trade from the moment they made it. It was not, to me, a very smart long-term move because you already didn't have a ton of depth. Now you have no depth. You have no flexibility to add around this group. And it's just very hard to win when you've basically got 10 or 11 minimum guys every year. It's just not really a path to sustainable success, particularly when you've got older guys that are injury-prone. Guys, Beal's missed time, Booker and Durant missed time. Jusuf Nurkic is not the same player he was a few years ago after injuries he's had. I mean, look, could the Suns potentially be a team that gets out of the first round? Maybe. But I just don't see a lot of reason to think that they're going to be much better than what they were last year.
That's Tim Bontemps, who joined us earlier, actually in the last segment from ESPN. Bick posing the question, what are the Suns, what do they conjure up in you feeling-wise? Not much were his first words.
Well, and again, I don't think that that's going to be the dissenting opinion. I think that's going to be a very common standard opinion.
Yes.
And it's going to take what they have to be exceptional and to be better in places than they were last year to really make a run at this thing. It's not impossible.
No.
But again, it just, when you think about this, it just makes you insane that an owner like this, that is not only a basketball guy and doesn't care about making money, but a guy who's really willing to spend whatever it takes, and it's proof. The Royce O'Neal deal is proof. The Grayson Allen deal is proof.
Yes.
It's just really a shame that there are now stipulations and shackles, proverbial shackles, put on owners like Mat Ishbia and like Steve Ballmer and Joe Lacob, because the rest of the owners do not want the pressure of having to compete with people who are willing to spend like that. It's what it is.
No, it's true, but, I mean, here's the Suns' plight. Historically, how do you win championships with at least two superstars? There was a stretch where three superstars seemed to be kind of the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So they go down that road. Bradley Beal did not play like a superstar last year. I think he had difficulty in accepting that role. I think at times he did consistently over the course of a regular season where he was in and out of the lineup. I don't think that happened to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
So now the format's changed. The rules have changed. The CBA has changed. The restrictions certainly are more severe than they've ever been for a team that's built like the Suns. And I don't know if you're going to see teams built like the Suns anymore, although Philadelphia, I think your point on Philadelphia is pretty well taken. They have two guys of a big three. That's the way you have to do it now. Two of the three at least have to be homegrown for this to happen.
Yeah, kind of, yes.
They've gone down that road. But to Tim Bontemps' point about winning, consistently with minimum salary players around your big three. That's not totally the case. You've got obviously 151 some odd $1 million tied up in the big three. But you mentioned Royce O'Neal. You mentioned Grayson Allen. You mentioned Yusuf Nurkic. Those are all players that are making a decent salary, competitively speaking. So you are still looking at a number of minimum guys, but the Suns have also had buzzard's luck when it comes to the minimum guys, just not finding roles or finding any kind of comfort level to compete on a regular basis. Last year's group, I was over the moon at what the front office did in the early stages of free agency, but we haven't elaborated on this. And I think there's something you can read into. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. Eric Gordon had a player option for $3.4 million. We talked about last week, what are Eric Gordon's options? Is Eric Gordon the make or break for the Phoenix Suns next year? Absolutely not. But he opted out of $3.4 million, and he went to Philly for $3.3. And he signed for a team with a general manager in Daryl Morey that he's obviously got a lot of experience with from his days in Houston. But was that the determining factor? Was he that unhappy
here
in Phoenix? Was he that convinced that this was not going to ultimately lead to a championship? I might be reading way too much into that because
I don't know if you are.
We talked about the Houston Rockets maybe being in play for Eric Gordon, and there would be a market. I didn't think he was going to get another minimum deal, quite honestly.
Same. And I think now with the confusion over Damian Lee, who was reported that he opted in, turns out he has not. People who do reporting around the Suns still think it's a good chance he's going to sign with the Suns, but we're going to find out. When all four guys with opt-ins opt out, what does that tell you? Now, it could be individual. It could be guys looking for more money. It could be guys looking for a bump. But it does tell you something. And that shouldn't come as a surprise or seem slanderous to anyone. We all saw the vibe off that team last year. It wasn't good. It's not something that would make somebody go, yeah, I want to be – sign me up for that.
And as disappointing as Eric Gordon was, maybe the most disappointing of all the signings – he's still going to need to be replaced by somebody. Yeah. Like, who's going to be that, seventh man off the bench
now? Last week when we thought Damian Lee had opted in, and again, there's a possibility he'll be back. I don't know what the market is for a player coming off a severe knee injury the way that he did.
Yeah.
But, if he's the guy, I feel pretty good about it. If he's not the guy, I don't know what I feel about it.
Well, okay, so let's look at this roster right now. You obviously have Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Yusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, Bol, Mason Plumlee. You got the two rookies in
Nasir Little.
Nasir Little, and you got these rookies in Ryan Dunn and Osa Ighodaro.
Andre Iguodala, it's pronounced.
That right, exactly.
Yeah.
We just call him that. Who am I missing besides that? Is that everybody? Is that pretty much everybody for now?
You said Nurkic?
Yep.
I did.
Jalen Bridges is a two-way.
Jalen Bridges, that's right. He's a true-way guy.
Yeah.
So you could obviously look at that and go, that doesn't stack up to the Celtics. That doesn't stack up to the Thunder. Again, and they're not done. They're going to have to get lucky for once.
They're not done, but who are they going to sign at this point that's going to be better than all those names you just mentioned that's going to be ahead of them in a rotation?
We're still looking for a point guard. And speaking of being done, they might be overdone. Drafting Ryan Dunn, Chris Dunn remains a possibility to be signed as a point guard.
Okay.
Kind of a another
done.
Done. Right, exactly.
Yeah, they just need to sign two. If that happens, they need to sign two more Duns.
You're good. Done.
No,
that'd be four, right? Done. Oh, because there's a duh in there. You're the duh part, Jared. But I saw a lot of people geeked up about Bol.
There was a lot of people geeked up about Bol, and look, that's part of the frustration at the end of the Frank Vogel tenure.
Yeah,
is his reticence to play Bol in minutes to change up the looks. I mean, it frustrated a lot of Suns fans. I don't know if that went into the soup that got him shown the door, but there was a lot of people that were not happy about
it. Here's the other thing that I do like. If I'm looking for slivers of optimism, obviously, Book, coming back, having an MVP year, that would change the calculus. Bradley Beal being better would maybe change the calculus a little bit. Mike Budenholzer at being able to help kind of build out this roster, even if they are spare parts, at least they're being added in tune and in sync with the coach's vision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.